All right, welcome to the podcast. I am still sober. I'm still a heathen. I'm still the sober heathen. I'm Scott. And thanks for listening. Man, I just recorded for about 35 minutes and I said fuck that shit and deleted that mother trucker. Sometimes I got to get on here and I got to look myself in the face and I got to go on this little whanny boo boo and bitch to myself, and then I get to a point and I'm like, okay, all right, that's enough of that shit. So it's happened a couple times. So we don't need all that. I need to be honest and I need to document my recovery. That's the point of this podcast. Unless I have a guest on, then the point is to spread the message of recovery. So here I am. It's not a 3 a.m. podcast. It's not even quite 11 o'clock yet. Um, you know, this weekend sucked and it was all my fault. This weekend sucked because I got in my own head. I created scenarios in my head to make the situation worse and to doubt myself and to doubt the very amazing person that I was spending time with, and just to create a stink that wasn't there. Um, and all it did was get my feelings hurt and their feelings hurt, and looking at it now, like, what the fuck was the point? You care about this person deeply, and everything that was in my head was completely fabricated by my own fat head. So fuck this disease straight up its ass with no lube. I'm fucking sick of it. I am so sick of the mental bullshit that addiction brings that I wish it was a person so I could go beat its ass. I have a sword hanging on the wall. I have a sword in the corner. I have a big axe over here. Please present yourself in some physical form so that I can destroy you. Please. Fuck Frodo carrying this shit, this ring, and throw it into the fire. I want to get my hands dirty. Another good person died today because of fucking alcohol. It wasn't today. It was this week they passed. It was soon. It was today or yesterday. It had to have happened. Really awesome dude. A guy that I spent time in treatment with last year on two different occasions because I got to go back twice. He actually left once and then came back as well. And then we kept in contact for quite a while after my second stay. All the way up to like December last year was our last message, and I feel bad looking at it. Man, it's been 3 months. I sent him a message not too long ago asking him how he's doing, and he never looked at it according to Facebook Messenger. Um, but probably because he had some stuff going on. I know that he was struggling. Relationships can be a motherfucker in general, but when you're an addict or alcoholic, those things can be even worse. Every little thing can fuck you up, just like I was talking about. I fucked myself up in my head for no goddamn reason. So when you have an actual like back and forth or an actual like negative things, arguments and things like that going on between two people that love each other, that's even 10 times worse. And I didn't even have that, and I was all kinds of fucked up. So this poor dude, you can just see the support pouring out from family and friends on his Facebook page. Clearly this dude has touched a lot of people. He would ride his bike to meetings. He would join me and my ex-sponsor on meetings for weeks after he was already gone. It was awesome. It was good to see him every single time. And now the dude's gone. I can't sit here and tell everybody's story, but this dude had a medical problem that was directly affected by alcohol, whether it was created by it or not. It was directly affected by his alcohol consumption. He was on a donor list for an organ that is directly related to alcohol, and he couldn't get on it because he had to have a certain amount of sobriety time. And every time that you relapse, that time starts over, which means that you go back farther in the list. And for those people, like the person on Twitter who said to me that it's just a choice, that weed and tequila were his gods, and it's just as simple as making a fucking choice to quit doing it. Fuck you, dude. Fuck right off. And I did not tell you that on Twitter. I just retweeted it and said, holy shit, we've found the answer, guys. We found the answer that this douchebag says all you have to do in order to get better or not be an alcoholic addict is just say no. Just say no. That's that's the answer. And then I hear from somebody today that they were at lunch and a coworker was making comments about like, well, they should just stop if it's a problem. Get fucked. Look, I'm not normally like this, but this is what happens when we have the attitude of, well, they should just stop. Well, they're just a bad person because they drink alcohol or they do drugs or they just don't want to get better. When we have these kind of fucking attitudes, this is the shit that happens. People start beating themselves up more because it's like, well, why can't I stop? Because then you'll have the real super fucking genius people that are like, oh yeah, I used to be a real bad drinker and I just quit on my own. I didn't go to AA, I didn't talk to a counselor, I didn't do anything, I just quit on my own. Well, fucking great. Clearly you weren't an alcoholic. And I'm not saying that some people weren't actually an alcoholic. It's not for me to diagnose. I'm just saying I know what it's like to not have a fucking choice. It got to a point where I didn't have a fucking choice. I would wake up, I would make the firm decision in a moment of puking till snot's running out of my nose, till nothing else is coming out. It's just dry heave, dry heave, dry heave. You're almost shitting yourself. You want to fucking die. You're looking at the clock and it's just, it's just barely moving. And all you want to do is you want to fucking sleep. You want to stop sweating. You want to stop dry heaving. You want to stop the shakes, the aches, the nausea. You want it all to stop and you swear off alcohol and you fucking mean it. And then 4 hours later, the moment you feel this much better, all you want to do is get another bottle. I know what that feels like. And that's not a choice, because even after I said I was done, I would find myself, without even realizing what the fuck is going on, I would find myself with a bottle in hand and already drinking, sitting there. What the fuck did I do? Don't believe me? The dude, everybody thinks that AA is the save all, and it does. I love it. I love AA. Even being a heathen, and most people talking about God and Jesus in there, I love AA. The creator, Bill W., talks about how he found himself in a bar, pounding on the bar. My God, how did I end up here again? Because it just fucking happens. And then you're sitting there and you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I already got the bottle. I'm not dumping it out. That's a waste. Glug, 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 glug. And you keep fucking going. It's a choice in the beginning. I used to be able to choose to make my schedule when I was working part-time, in my early 20s. I was working full-time, but it was mostly part-time because I'd make my own schedule. But anyway, I would schedule it for the great bar nights. And those other nights, for the first year or two, sometimes I'd go out and drink. I get talked into it because maybe there was attractive female participating, or my buddies just said, hey man, come on. No, I can't. Come on, dude, don't be a pussy. All right, fine. And then I'd go. Really compelling arguments that they would make. There were times that I would do that and I would wake up and go to work and feel like absolute dog shit. But if it was something special, more often than not, I would make it to my obligations or choose not to drink. Let's just stay back and play video games or something. But very quickly, it started to affect everything. And, when I was married and I had kids, I was going to quit. I'm done drinking when I have kids. And then I find myself stopping at the party store on the way home every night. There were times when I would have this, it would be like, don't look at it, don't look at it, don't look at it, and have this argument and this fight in my head. And I pull in the driveway and I'm like, thank God. Okay, I'm actually going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm not going to have to worry about hiding alcohol. I'm here. Thank God. And then I'd get in and then my ex-wife would be like, we're out of this, or, hey, I feel like this. Do you want to get this? Or, hey, could you go grab this? Or, oh crap, I forgot to put gas in the vehicle. Would you mind getting me some gas in my vehicle? And then out I go, and then it was done. Fuck it, I'm already out here. I'll go ahead and get it. if this dude that just passed had a choice, if it was as easy as a fucking choice of just saying no, just saying no, King. If it was that simple, dude'd still be alive. Because the dude went to treatment to get help. He left because someone close to him was going through some medical issues, and then he came back. He didn't have to come back. He came back. This dude was fighting. He was fighting. He didn't win the war. God damn it. But he was fighting. And if it was a choice, because he knew, he sent me a message last December asking me if I know anybody that would know a specialist having to do with the transplant. And I don't know anybody like that, but I told him that I'd look into it, and then I ended up going to jail for a month, and that one I never got to talk to the dude again. He was scared. He wanted to live. If it was a fucking choice, he would have stopped. He could have stopped. So don't come at me with that bullshit. Well, you should just stop. You know what? Your dick's 10 foot long. I get it. You can do fucking anything. You're Superman. I bet you're a miserable cocksucker every day of your life. You get home and you hate your life, but you can do anything. Okay. Maybe a little inappropriate. I don't fucking care. I'm done playing games with this disease, dude. I'm done. I'm sick and tired. I have seen now in less than I haven't even been out of treatment a year. And I know 4 people that have passed, and 3 of those people were super good dudes. Another dude just didn't want to stop. But he still left a wife and 2 daughters and however many other people that were close to him behind. 3 fantastic people are gone. People that went to treatment. They weren't, well, I don't know if the one dude was there on his own, but I know the other 3 were in treatment to get better because they wanted to live. But the disease, it overtook them. The choice was gone and they lost. And that's exactly what's going to happen to me if I pick up alcohol again. I was buying, and I've said it before in my podcast, I was buying a half gallon and 2 pints, or some variation of a half gallon, 2 half pints and a pint, or some variation of that. It was a half gallon and whatever else I decided that I needed to get. And I would take that motherfucker and clink against my teeth. Thank God it was a plastic bottle, and choke that bitch down and swallow, praying that I did not puke because I didn't want to waste it. And I wanted to feel better because my hands are going like this. And I couldn't feel normal without alcohol. I pick up again. That's where it's going to end up. And I'm a goner. And I hope to God somebody doesn't have to watch this one day and be like, dude, you're saying it. You fucking knew. You fucking knew. I hope that's not the case. How can you say that you hope? Well, because I can't guarantee anybody that I'm not going to pick up tomorrow. I can tell you that I got 54 minutes left in this day, so signs are looking pretty fucking good. The store's closed. They wouldn't sell to me anyway. I don't have a license, so I can't get there anyway. So when my head gets all fucked, there's a lot of obstacles for me to get through and up and over and under and around for me to get alcohol. So that's a good thing right now. Because just like my counselor keeps telling me, the first year's fucked. And he's not the first one to tell me that. Everybody in treatment told me that. The 2 sponsors that I've had have told me that. Everybody in AA tells you that the first year is the hardest. You feel so much better when you're sober. You feel anger better. You feel sadness better. You feel depression better. You feel anxiety better. Those are things that you got to learn to deal with. And I dealt with all those feelings and all those things with alcohol for many fucking years, very heavily medicated with alcohol. And now I'm trying to figure out how to do it on my own. So I find myself blowing up to a 98-year-old woman that all she did was raise me and continues to put a roof over my head because I'm starting over again because of alcohol. And I bite her head off. And then I go and I spend a weekend with somebody that I care so much about, and I get in my own head and I make it very uncomfortable, and I present an atmosphere of there's something wrong or I don't want something, and so I go away feeling like crap. They walk away feeling like crap, and that wasn't my intent. I'm still working on vocalizing things. I'm I'm I fear rejection in certain areas. Um in most areas. That's why I have a hard time, asking for help. Um, and I have very rarely gotten told no. And then it's like, the times like, oh, I'm gonna ask this person, and they're probably gonna say no, and that's okay. I understand why they're saying no, and I'm all prepared for a no, and I get a yes, and I'm like, oh, most of it is in my motherfucking head. Most of it and I can't speak for from what I've heard from other people who struggle with addiction, it's the same thing. Mountains out of molehills. um, yeah, I want to do something to stop this disease for winning so many battles and taking so many lives, so many casualties in this war. It's Look, I'm going to say something, and it's going to be controversial, but luckily I don't have thousands or millions of viewers, so I'm going to get away with it without offending too many people, because most people who listen know how I feel anyway. Um, we can't pray this stuff away, because if we could pray this stuff away, it wouldn't exist. The same with other diseases like cancer and tumors, and maybe those are the same thing, but you get what I'm saying. Um, it's going to take work. It's going to take prayer, sure. It's going to take prayer, meditation, whatever you would like to call it. It's going to take contact with a power greater than yourself, whatever you want to choose to call that. My higher power right now is going out and sitting by myself for a half an hour to an hour around a fire, looking up at the beautiful stars, absorbing some nature, and talking to the gods that I believe in. And tonight it was talking to my friend from treatment who just passed away. But it's going to take action. That action is going to be education. That action is going to have to be people being brave to tell their story. And it's not for everybody to get on a podcast and share their story. I totally get that. But tell it to somebody that you feel comfortable with telling, because maybe then they can take that and share it with somebody else and say, look, I know this person. This is what they went through. I can't tell you who they are. They asked me not to tell them who they are, but this is what they went through. This is what they did. And this is what they're like now. You can, do the telephone, tell your story. If you are winning this battle, recover out loud. That's the only way we're going to save lives. And I can put what little money I have on that. If you are in long-term recovery, or it was referenced, long-term sustained recovery. If you are in that right now, I bet you somebody helped you. They took what they had and gave it a little bit to you so that you could get to where you're at right now. So fucking repay the favor. I don't give a fuck if I look at the views on YouTube, and oh, I got 50 views. Oh, that's cool. Well, I'm hoping that when it's 50 views, or the one video that's got 250 some odd views, I hope that just one of those views does something for somebody. I I want my fellow people in addiction to listen to the podcast and give me feedback on what they think that I said is good, and what I could change, and give me different angles of what they've been through. But I really want the people that don't suffer from the addiction to get it, because they're the ones that need to learn to not to learn. That sounds like I'm talking down to them. That's not what I meant. They're the ones that need to understand where what we're going through, what the thought process is, and how hard it is, and how to know that this is not just a choice, especially when you're in full-blown addiction. Because if we can get those people on board and to understand, then we can maybe make our circle a little bigger, maybe make our army a little bit bigger. not to just throw people to the side. Look, you're going to burn enough bridges where people are going to tell you to go away. I was told to move out twice with the person that I love with all my heart. She told me to move out twice. She had to do it. It wasn't like she was throwing me in the gutter, but they have to set boundaries and do things for themselves. I get that. But she never told me to fuck off. She never told me that you're a piece of shit. She never told me that, you're never going to beat this. She had to look at it and say, okay, he might not ever beat this. It might get even worse. He could die. I have my family that I have to worry about. I can't have this around there. And I'm sorry, but you have to go. That's not hateful. That's setting boundaries, and that's looking out for yourself. Just like in addiction, we have to look out for ourselves. If we're in a relationship where it's not giving us an atmosphere of hope and some peace, at least at times, we might have to be the ones to set the boundaries with non-addicts or alcoholics and say, you know what? My recovery is too important. I'm going to die if I don't beat this, and I can't do this here right now. And you don't have to be an asshole about it. I mean, I'm going to be quite frank with you right now. Where I'm at mentally and these past few days, I want to be an asshole. So in this training that I took last weekend, there was a scenario where you were in an ER, you're a recovery coach, you're in an ER, and this nurse starts talking to the other faculty and says, hey, these people are never going to recover. They're never going to change. They're never going to get over it. And just going off, and my first thought was, well, I'd go over and say, hey, look, I'm in recovery. I can change. I'm changing. That's why I'm here. There's always hope. And I don't know if I said this story already. I'm so sorry if I already did. I know I said it in the last podcast that I deleted, but the point is I learned something. Don't go in the fire while it's red hot. You got to let it cool down before you go in searching the remains. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that was a bad analogy. I really stumbled through it. But that fire is red hot. This person is clearly upset about something. You don't know what those reasons are. So let that go about your business. Go talk to the person in charge and say, hey, and let them handle it. That's a better way to do it. And that was really eye-opening for me on that, because I can't just jump in. That dude that tweeted the thing about, it's just a choice. If I would have went much farther with that, I'm just feeding into an asshole as it is. You know what I mean? I'm giving them ammunition to be the cocksucker that they are. So we in any war, you pick your battles, right? So we got to pick our battles. We got to talk to those who will listen, and we have to be willing to talk to those people when they're ready to listen. I was at that training, and I was so tired, and it wasn't from a lack of sleep. I didn't have energy. I was zoning out, and I just, even one time, one of the ladies that were there was like, Scott, wake up. And I wasn't sleeping. I was just kind of staring, I was like, just please let this day be over. I just mentally drained. And I took that like, okay, so now I'm presenting these things that I'm feeling, and people are seeing it. And I had to take that, and I had to say, this is the time. This is a certification that's going to benefit you in the future. You have to do this right now. And so when we get the opportunity, for those of us that are in recovery or trying to recover out loud, we have to take the opportunities when they present themselves to say, hey, can I tell you my story? Can I tell you a little bit about what I've been through? I know you're having a hard time with this because so-and-so is struggling, but this is what happened to me. This is how I can relate to them. And this is how people that were close to me reacted to me when I was doing these things. We got to do something, because this isn't working, man. Too many people, too many. And it's not just the people that are dying, man. It's their families, it's their brothers, their sisters, their moms, their dads, their children, their nephews, their nieces, their, people that are close to them, their best friends that are suffering. One person, touches how many people's lives. Um, I just, I don't know what the answer is, because I'm still working on my recovery, and I'm not expected to have the answer, because they've been trying to find the answer. With AA, has got the closest thing to an answer, and that's coming up on 100 years ago. It's about 90 years right now, give or take. So this answer isn't going to be around the corner. A pill to take is not around the corner. A shot to get is not around the corner. Sometimes the shot, of course, I'm going to a Vivitrol shot. Sometimes that has helped people. I'm not a medical person, but I know what I was told when I was told about it, that it would be too dangerous for me to take it, because when you drink on Vivitrol, you don't feel drunk when you're actually drunk. It kind of numbs the receptors, so you don't really feel the drunk that you get, or the high, if you want to call it that. So with the amount that I would drink, I would way overcompensate. And so they told me no, that they wouldn't give me that shot. That was actually at the treatment center. So anyway, I feel much better after staring at myself for the second time, doing a second run at this podcast. I feel so much better. I feel accomplished. It's like writing in a journal, and that's the way I'm treating this. I'm too lazy to write. I did so much writing in jail and in treatment. I went through so many pens in treatment, and so many pads of paper. But it was so therapeutic for me, and this has taken that place. They told me to journal, in my first year especially, and motherfuckers, it's almost as if they know what they're talking about at Harbor Hall. It's almost like they know everything, every bullshit that can be spewed, and techniques that work more often than not. That's crazy. It's like it's like they're educated in addiction or something. Um, so I'm not perfect. I'm not going to be perfect ever. I'm just trying to be better than I used to be. And to do that, just putting the bottle down is going to help. But I can still be a dickhead. I can still be an asshole. I can still isolate. But if you're listening to this and you're struggling and you got less time than I do, I mean, I feel you. It ain't easy, but I don't want to go back to drinking. I don't want to go back to coming to instead of waking up. I don't want to go back to passing out instead of going to sleep. And I wrote this quote down when I was in jail. Confucius: better to be a diamond with a flaw than to be a perfect pebble. So I just want to be a diamond, man. I want to have a little shine to me. And it'll come. I know it will come. I'm very blessed with my circle of people, and I'm very blessed to be able to do a podcast that more than a public that more than a couple people listen to. Um, I told somebody on Twitter today that, I've never met you. You're a Twitter person, your Twitter friend, I guess, if you want to call it that, but I've never met you in real life. And here you are, checking in. I tweeted something that wasn't like my normal tweets, and they're like, I just want to check in, make sure that everything's okay. And, this person, she's in recovery, her husband's in recovery, so they bond off each other, and she's on Twitter and, constantly posting positive recovery things. And that she's like, yeah, it's a motherfucker, and she's got far more sobriety than I do. Um, It's a bitch, but life's a bitch. So there is something to be said, suck it up, buttercup at times. I understand that. But we also have to be realistic, that doesn't work in every scenario. Um, so whenever the hand of AA or an alcoholic or addict reaches out, if you have some recovery and you have been given gifts, when that hand reaches out, let's grab that fucking hand and hold it tight and give them what we can without expending ourselves or stretching ourselves too thin. We owe it to these people. Another dude died, man. Another person is gone. There are no redos. There are no, I'll recover tomorrow. There's no more, I'm going to go back to treatment. There's no more, I'm going to call my sponsor. Those options for this dude, for Jimmy, those options are gone. This isn't a game. Let's fight this shit, man. Fuck this disease. The only way we can do that, I'm not afraid to tell my story. I'm not afraid to make myself look like nothing but a raging drunk, because I was, point blank. So it sounds like I'm trying to do something. I am trying to fucking do something. I am trying to be a voice. I am trying to recover out loud. So that's why I do ask to like and comment, and follow, and listen on Spotify and rate me on Apple Podcast, and do all these things so that the podcast pops up more. I hope people get on here and try to argue with me, that it is a choice, because I'd like to hear what they have to say. Because maybe people that aren't addicts do have some good information, because I can tell you what, that there are a bunch of alcoholics and addicts who have some really good things to contribute to the normies out there. So why can't the normies contribute to us? It needs to be a fucking discussion. We need to connect. Connection is the opposite of addiction. I believe that with all my heart. So even if our connections are a little bit, we got flowing currents kind of bumping into each other, hopefully we can take that and then find a way around, just like roots of a tree find their way around certain things. So I'm going to stop blabbing. Thank you for listening. Please do like, please do give a follow. Uh, please try to listen on, take a watch on Rumble. You can watch on Rumble, you can watch on YouTube, and then you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can listen on Amazon Music. There's podcasts is everywhere. So like and share, send a link, see if we can get some more people to listen. Always looking for guests. I have another guest, that gave me a week, kind of like a time frame, of when she can be on. I think she's going to be awesome. She's working in the field. She's in recovery herself. I really hope that it happens. I'm going to reach out to her tomorrow and try to set down a date. I think it would be a huge podcast. I think, I asked her for some information to help out somebody that I know that was struggling, and she gave me the information in about 3 minutes. So I'm really looking forward to having her on. I hope it happens. So fingers crossed. So anyway, stay sober, my friends. Have a great night. You are loved no matter who you are. If you're listening to this and you're down and you feel like nobody loves you, I fucking love you. You deserve it. And just keep fighting the good fight. All right. Good night, everybody.